This is the Real Estate Sit Down presented by Double B Homes. My name is Blair Berg, and welcome back to part 2 of Life as a New Real Estate Agent. If you haven't seen part 1, go ahead, go back, watch that. A lot of good nuggets in both of these. So, as always, please like and subscribe.
Yeah, and it's funny too because that's another thing is that now that I've got time in the game, I notice mistakes that newer agents make, like on deals that I'll do with a newer agent. And I try to help them in a way that isn't like demeaning, which I'm sure they still take it that way sometimes if I can't find the correct wording. But I do honestly try to help them. Like I don't bring brokers into it. I don't try to report it to any higher up. I'm like, hey, you made this mistake on the contract. Just like do this quick. Like, don't worry. It's something I, did in the beginning too. Because it's like when you first start out and you're writing a purchase agreement, I feel like I would take like an hour and a half scouring the documents and I still might have missed something somewhere in there. Now I can crank one out in a couple minutes, no mistakes. But in there are some like just honest little mistakes or like this or that. And I'll like honestly try to be as nice about it as I possibly can and like assist them and be like, hey, I was a new agent once too. Because we all have been there.
Yeah.
Like we've all been there. And it's like being a dick to that person doesn't help.
No, because I mean we're all part of the same industry, and if we can all be better together and like help each other learn, like it's only gonna be better for everyone else.
And that's where I say like a rising tide lifts all ships, because we already get a bad enough reputation as real estate agents that we don't need infighting to make it worse. So it's like I try to make it as a pleasant of experience for everyone involved, and that includes the other side. So it's like if I can, good faith, let the seller get a win when my buyer's also winning, great. And if the agent on the other side makes a little bit of a mistake, just kindly like help them correct it and don't like alert everybody about it. Don't make it a big deal. And like I said too, obviously if I think a deal is struggling because of the performance of another agent, I'll look to see how many deals they've done just to see. And then, like I said, kind of give them a little bit more grace and kind of help, as long as I know they're actually trying to get it done. But yeah, it's funny. Older agents that just want to be like, well, I've been doing this for so long. It's like, it doesn't change the fact your offer is not very good.
Right.
So, and I do think that we are seeing a new wave of younger agents that it's all about communication, which the better communication you have, the smoother the deal is going to go.
Right.
So I do think that's a good thing for everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. I was thinking about this actually the other night. I was like, because I like to say that I go to war for my clients in the inspection period. And I like to compare it to like a boxing match where like these people talk like a bunch of trash and like then they like actually do the fight. And then after they like shake hands and be like, hey, you know what? I have nothing but respect for you.
Yeah.
Like that's how I like to feel like the real estate transaction goes. Like in the inspection, say there's a bunch of stuff that comes up. Like I tell my buyers like the worst they can do is say no. So ask for everything. Like, and there's some like stuff like, and I'm not talking about like every little thing like outlet switch plates or some stuff like that they can do on their own. Like I set that expectation, but like I encourage them to, ask for everything. And then like I've found that like a lot of, people, they get upset about that, or, like there's some agents who are like, I've never seen an inspection list this long. I'm like, I'm just sending you what they're asking for. Like, you don't need to get upset with me about it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just putting my client's best interest for them. And then like, so going back to like the whole boxing thing, like, at the end of the day, they might get upset during the inspection contingency, or, something might have a hiccup or something like that. But at the end of the day, like we all have, like, I have respect for everybody. At the end of the day, like, I hope we can just shake hands and,
And it's to your point, I always preface it too with that. I go, hey, I just have, my duties to my client is that I have to do everything I can for them.
Right.
So here's what we're looking at. And like you said, give them the long list so you can get the big items.
Right.
And they'll probably like, we're not going to do the GFCIs on the outlets. You can do that. The kind of smaller stuff. So it's like, because if you give them just a few things, I feel like it's an increased chance of a no. But if you give them a long list of things, like, okay, we'll do a couple of these.
Right.
So I think it is in your client's best interest to get it out there.
Right.
And especially, too, if it's like safety or hazardous concerns, get those looked at. But yeah, and I think because like it's in everybody's best interest, and you kind of know as the buyer, like they don't want to go back to market. but you also don't want to go find another home. So it is
Right.
a tightrope walk of, what can we get? What will they put up with? So
Well, yeah, I try to set that expectation too of like, here are the main things that we really want. We'll ask for everything, and then if they say no, then we'll just ask for a home warranty. Like, so like, but in the back of my client's mind, they're like, all right, these are the things that they get, and then if I go and get more for them, huge win for me and
for everybody
them.
involved.
And then that's where like the referral comes in and stuff like that. So, yeah, I mean, but like going back to it, like, yeah, I mean, there's some transactions where it's not going to go well, and you're not going to be friends with everybody during the transaction.
Exactly.
But there are times, like I just ran into this with the house that my parents bought. Like, the sellers were super petty. They like changed out all of the light bulbs before they closed, and like, yeah, it just is like,
It's like not working bulbs.
no, I don't remember what my mom called them, but she's like, they're definitely not the light bulbs that were in here because I can see the box of all of them.
Yeah. Or I've had it where they'll like put up different curtains. Like they'll take the nice ones they had up and then put like crappy ones on. They're like, well, those were them. I'm like, I'm looking at your listing pictures right now. That wasn't them.
Right.
So, do you have any other like kind of new agent struggles?
No, I mean, just really kind of like getting out of your own way. Just know that like, you belong here. And I would say that was, probably the biggest thing is having imposter syndrome.
Yep. And I think that's huge. And I think that's very big as when you're a new agent and if you don't own your own home.
Yeah.
That's what I struggled with right away.
Yeah.
Because I didn't own my own home right away and I was still living in the city and trying to sell other people on the advantage of homeowning if I didn't do it myself.
Right.
And it's like, well, even though I knew all the benefits and I was working towards that for myself, it was like, I feel like I can't speak on this as professionally as someone who does or owns multiple. And I mean, that was my ultimate goal, was to own several properties. But at the time, I was just like, should I even be doing this? But
right.
you
Who
get
am
over
I
that.
to tell this person how to buy a house.
Yeah. But you'll find too, when you go through the home buying process, it does help a ton.
Yeah.
It does help a ton, especially if you're, buying multiple properties, stuff like that. You can draw on that experience when you're like walking your clients through it and be like, well, this is what I did during my deal.
Right.
So I always think it is good, but I do think that, yeah, getting out of your own way. And I think, and this will kind of transition what I want to talk about next. And like you kind of said, it is an ego thing. And I do think, so I've been an athlete my entire life and I went to college for lacrosse. And I've just been competing. I have 4 brothers.
Right.
So I just feel like I've been competing my entire life. And I feel like to be a good competitor, you have to have pride. You have to have a little bit of an ego. You kind of have to have a chip on your shoulder.
Right.
But when you get into something like this, where there are so many people who have done it super well at a super high level, you don't want to recreate the wheel. You want to find someone that you can emulate and get good mentorship from. And I think that you need to put your ego away, swallow your pride a little bit and say, I don't know everything. I really don't know anything. And start emulating, like I said, finding the right person to emulate. Because I think in the beginning, I saw a couple guys that I was like, I want to be like that. And then after I got to know them, I'm like, actually, no. And again, I think it's a big part of why I joined Parker's team. Is I was like, that's a guy who I want to emulate how he runs a business, runs his businesses, owns properties, stuff like that, and still can maintain a good work-life balance.
Right.
Because, I mean, I know he's got a great relationship with his family. He seems like he's got great relationships with everybody in the office, and I think that's huge, especially in a world where teams are so big now. And I think the leaders of the team can get so separated from it that can lead to issues. But so, like I said, swallowing your pride in getting a good mentor, I think, is huge, especially early on.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think like that was probably like my biggest regret was not swallowing my own pride and just honestly having an ego, thinking that it was just going to come to me. And like, if I could go back and do it all over again, like I would have joined somebody that, obviously, like if I would have known about the Pemberton Homes team, I would have joined it right away. But like, if I could go back, I would go back and find somebody until was like, okay, I want to run a business just like how you said, like how they run their business, or or I have the same like mindset as this person, or like, this person's going to like, go back and find somebody that you can be assistant to, so you can go on those, listing appointments. Like in my 3 years, like I've done, like when you're new to the industry, you work with a lot of buyers before you start to take like a listings. Because like obviously that comes with skin in the game.
Well, and a lot of teams don't even let you take listings until you've worked with. I mean, I know that's kind of a thing with some teams, is they actually won't let you take listings until you've done so many deals.
That's crazy. I've never heard of that. But yeah, I mean, like just finding somebody that, once you get that skin in the game, that's where those listings come back, because you help so many people, and then those people need to come back and sell their house, and like I feel like that's kind of like where the listings come from. But yeah, I mean, just finding somebody that like you're like, okay, I can resonate with them, I have the same kind of like mindset as them, and like there's somebody that I want to emulate my business around. And if you can watch, like personally, I'm a visual learner, and so like when I had a job before I was in real estate, and it was kind of like a door-to-door sales job. Like we got appointments. It was almost like going on listing appointments. I'd compare it to now. You'd go there, you'd pitch, your service, and then you'd like try to close the deal. And you'd like, we were essentially sleazy salesmen who were selling paint. And like, we'd go there and we'd, tell them about our service. We'd start at a price, and then they'd, hit us with an objection, and we were taught how to like overcome that objection, and then like price drop. And so like, what I'm trying to say is like it got to a point where like I could do that without even thinking. Like it was just free flow. And so I feel like that's where I'm not at a point where I want to be yet, just because I haven't taken a lot of listings. So like I'm not super confident in going into a listing appointment and being like, I can 100% get this, because I haven't done a lot of listings, or I haven't done a lot of listing appointments. So like advice to new agents is find that person who's going to take you under the wing, take you on their listing appointments, that way you can like see all of that stuff, like live action. So when it comes to, your time to go do that, it's just like free flow. Like I said, it's like you don't have to think about it. You're just doing it. Yeah.
And I think another big thing too is, like you said, time in the game and finding that mentor, in like just to like a basic CMA, like comparable market analysis. Because I feel like a new agents, they always want like the secret formula for like how do you, like, if it has this and that, like what is the price equal? And it's like,
there's like there are bedrooms.
Yeah, it's just like there are adjustments for something, but very early on, I would like maybe once a week just do like a test CMA and have like people that are more experienced than me kind of check them and see what they thought. Or like if someone got a new listing appointment, I'd want to run a CMA for them to see what it compared to theirs. And I think now CMAs are actually kind of one of my skill sets, just because now I think I can look at them pretty quickly and pull up a list and find pretty quickly kind of what we're looking at, because it's so different from area, just like from county to county. So
Lakeville to Farmington.
That's what I mean. And you go to different school districts and stuff. So it's like there is no secret formula. No. And I feel like so many times, like a new agent will join a team, like, hey, for this CMA, like what do I? It's like you got to know how to look at the whole picture. And at the beginning, yes, you're looking for key things, bedrooms, bathrooms, exactly like, oh, it's this. But once you bring in the condition, the size of the yard, the neighborhood it's in, it all starts to mix. So it's like that is a learned thing. And I think as you do them, you get better at them. You 100%. Just have to do them.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I know you said that you joined the Pemberton home team and it's been really successful for you. Mm-hmm. I think that if I had joined the Pemberton home team at first, it probably wouldn't have worked as well for me, just for the fact that I think I would have been like a wild horse just running around. Because what I like about the Pemberton home team now is that I know how to run my business. So there's not a lot of oversight and I can do what I know I need to do.
Right.
But in the beginning, I didn't know. Mm-hmm. Like you said. And the first team I joined it was like I had just joined another 9 to 5. So, I mean, that's why I eventually ended up leaving. Mm-hmm. But I learned a lot. I learned a lot of skills because they had required office time. Like I was in the office all the time. A lot of team meetings, a lot of informational stuff that now I don't think I'd get as much from. But when I was new, it was huge for me learning wise. But like I said, I needed more space, I think, at that time. I just felt like I needed to get out and expand. And another thing too, a lot of what the team was offering was leads, and I wasn't getting any really. So I wanted to get out and build my own business.
Right.
A lot of what drew me to Parker's team is that upon meeting him, I was solo when I met him, and I was wanting to stay solo and just change brokerages. I was with KW and I wanted to go EXP, and he's a master of EXP, so I was just meeting him to get information on that. But I was missing, the team aspect. I did miss like having transaction coordinators, stuff like that. Doing all your own paperwork kind of gets to be a hassle when you're a solo agent.
My least favorite thing.
So, but when he told me that I could keep my own branding, I could really, he's like, as long as like PHT appears somewhere on it, I don't really care. You can brand yourself however you want. That really appealed to me. I was like, oh, I can get back into a team aspect, and there was little oversight.
Best of both worlds.
I was like, yeah, besides our weekly team meeting, which if you have like a business, like
you need to, it's good to have weekly team meetings.
Yeah. So you can,
even for like agent collaboration and stuff like that. Like,
and I mean, we're on a team with like 70 agents, I think, or we're up there
80,
now.
90 now.
And I mean, my old team was like 15 tops, I think. So it was like, you knew everybody, and it was, I think, 2 close quarters for me. But so it's like I learned a lot from that small structure, and I think it taught me a lot about time management, which I think I wasn't great at. And that's something I sometimes struggled with. And I think I'm really now hitting my stride with time management. Like I've become a huge Google Calendar guy. I time block. I make sure I'm getting all my tasks done. Again, like some days are a runaway freight train. I get stuck on one thing, and then my time block goes to shit. But I do think the small team was good from the beginning, and then I needed to kind of spread my wings, which I think this has been great for that. Because now I do kind of operate on my own time and do what I need to do. Whereas I think on my old team, it's like the required office stuff was getting in the way of me going out and making any money.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I mean, going off of that, like, being a new agent, like, in the first 2 years, you're just trying to like find new business. You're not actually like putting systems in place. So that's where I feel like I'm at a point like where I, had a great last year. I'm starting to see some of that repeat business come back. I'm starting to get some referrals for people. And so now it's more about like, I don't need to just be, a runaway freight train trying to find the next lead. Now I can start to implement those like systems to, that are stuff that I'm doing that I'm not like actually doing, like postcards or, spending time on the phone each day. There's something that I saw on the internet the other day, Kyle Whistle in California. What he did was, or he said when he started, he would print off expired, like just those expired sheets, you give like to your buyers or whatever. Yeah. He would circle it, the price in red, and then he would write, I know why your listing didn't sell on it. Call me. And he said he got like 15 listings 1 year from doing that. That's a great
strategy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. And I do think, again, another time in the game thing, once you start doing more business, I think there's a lot of talk around, even we both went to the Tom Ferry event, great real estate coach, and he said like you might be doing follow-up, but you're doing it wrong. I think at the beginning I was over following up because you only have a handful of leads,
right,
and you're desperately trying to convert them.
Right.
So I think in the beginning it's like I was checking in like weekly with like pretty cold leads, like, hey, you want to buy anything?
Right.
And they're like, no, we can talk in like a year. And I think like now it's gotten to a point where like family members, friends, family, like I'm offering like, yeah, I can come over, and because like I'm working on something right now with one of my buddy's dads where he's not sure what he wants to do. He might sell his place to like a We Buy Ugly Homes type company. And whereas early in my career, I might be really trying to get my foot in the door and say like, no, let me help you sell that. Whereas now it's like I have enough business and stuff going on where I'm like, hey, if you want another opinion, here's my information. Like, I'll gladly come over, give you kind of my opinion if you could sell this on the open market or not, or if it would be a good idea for you to go with the cash buyers, like We Buy Ugly Houses route. But
which
just
you
let
can
me know.
still find, like,
Yeah, and
we
like
know plenty of people.
And that was a conversation too. I kind of followed up. It's like, hey, and I've got a very big network of investors now, or even like myself, depending on the condition it's in and what we're looking at, like I could kind of get you a cash offer, probably cut out the middleman, and you make a little bit more money. So it's like, let me know, I can give you more options. Where I literally now I can come to people from an angle of I literally am just trying to help you. Like I can help you.
For you.
Yeah, and like I said, I can even look at those cash offers because he's got like 3 different companies coming over to look at it. I'm like, hey, I can just help you look at those and like see if that's help you go through the paperwork of it, and then that just led to him asking like, hey, well, do you charge just to do like the facilitator paperwork? Like, yes, I can do that, and it's very low fee. I can help you with that, but it's like I like now that's like I'm well enough off now, it's like I can just offer people help that need it, even if that's not using me. I think that goes a long way for getting referrals, getting good reviews, stuff like that.
Yeah, going off of that, like even I've had, this year alone, I've had like 3 or 4 friends not use me, which is totally fine. I totally get it. Like some people just don't want to mix friends and business, and I've helped people who have those best friends who are agents who don't use them because they do exactly that. They don't want to mix friends and business. And so I totally get it, whatever. But like, I'm not going to shun them for it at all.
Yeah.
But like, they'll still come to me with questions, and, I'm still happy to answer them. I helped my best friend. He is using his girlfriend's mom who is in real estate. And, I set them up with my lender just because I know that like he's still going to do a great job for them.
Yep.
So like, yeah, just being a resource, and, that kind of goes into like, the why of things. It's like, I'm not, at the end of the day, like, yeah, the money's great, but at the end of the day, the goal is to get you a house, like, and, help you, on your way to, your real estate goals. And then beyond that too, like my mortgage lender, he specifically will like say if you have somebody who was like 20% cash down, he'll give them the option and be like, hey, you can do that. You can do the 20% down. That's great. But you could also take, some of this other money and put it down on another property that's a duplex that cash flows for you.
Yeah. Well, I think, like I said, and if you get a reputation for being the guy who wants to help, isn't going to be salesy, I think down the road, that's going to help a ton.
100%.
So kind of moving on, do you have any tips like for new agents or people considering becoming an agent?
Yeah. I was thinking about this because when you had sent me that outline, I was like, God, if I could go back, like now I want to mentor like new agents just so I can tell them like, hey, don't do the things that I did.
Yeah.
So like because I follow this, so Parker, I had a referral for somebody in Florida, and Parker referred me to, her name's Candace Decker. If you don't follow her on Instagram, you should. She's a boss ass woman. Like she just crushes. And like her content is so good, and it's like actually super motivating and inspiring. And like she might have post today actually about how when she was new to the business, she got a coach, and like she was talking about how she didn't reinvent the wheel. She just was on the phone for 2 to 3 hours a day, setting appointments, waking up at 5 a.m., doing her affirmations, studying her scripts, like reading her scripts to herself, recording her doing her scripts, and like just mastering like the easy pieces of real estate that you can control.
Yep.
And so like that'd be kind of like my biggest tip is don't try to reinvent the wheel. Like literally people say cold calling doesn't work. It works. Hop on the phone 2 to 3 hours a day or make 50 contacts a day. I know somebody who sells 80 plus homes and he makes, 50 contacts a day. And the way he makes contacts is literally just by what am I trying to say? He responds to people's stories. Like he just responds to people's stories like, hey, how was that restaurant? Or like, hey, it looks like you're crushing it at whatever you're doing. Or how is this? How is that? Like he just is interacting with people, making those contacts, whether it's, by the phone or via Instagram, or, even you posted that like and then I posted about how like, struggling to post on social media because you didn't want to like be that guy.
Yeah.
But like now I flipped my mindset from actually your post. It was like to create meaningful relationships and, dig up old relationships with people that I haven't seen, whether they want to, work with me for real estate or not. Like,
Yep.
But like, if you do want to have that business relationship, great. If you don't, like, would love to just reconnect with you and, build a friendship again. But, yeah, biggest advice to new agents is don't recreate the wheel. Find a mentor or even pay for a coach. Like, that's going to do wonders for you. But yeah, just get on the phone and, have those conversations, set those appointments. And
Yeah, and I do think, and kind of to your point, I mean, the Tom Ferry event we went to, and I think it sounds super simple, but everything works.
Yeah.
You just have to do it.
Right.
So to new agents, I would say pick 3 things, maybe even just 2 to start out, but pick 2 or 3 things and do those repeatedly, do them well. Because I think in the beginning, my mistake was I saw so many different agents doing different things that worked well for them. And I was like, oh, I'll do a little bit of everything. So it's like pick 3 things, whether it's open houses, cold calling, social media, door knocking, geo farming, all that kind of stuff. And then just pick 2 or 3 and then just do those consistently. And like they say, everything works, but you just have to do it.
right.
And to your point about, social media, yeah, I think in the beginning, maybe selfishly, I was getting more into social media as, a business thing. And as I get older, I do realize that even with, how connected the world is, I do think as you get older, you just have less people in your life in general. I mean,
100%.
it's like you have your significant other and you have your family, but your circle shrinks. And I think every year, and I think there's some stat. It's like, I think I read something. It's like they say like an adult man says he has like 3 friends.
Yeah.
Like in his life. And I've had some health issues over the past year, and I mean, nothing serious.
Right.
Other people have it much worse than I do. But just like wake up calls where it's like life is short, and there are a lot of people in my life that I've lost touch with. So yes, in the beginning I got like more into social media for like a business aspect, but I have enjoyed connecting with people. And like I am one of those people who I'm congratulating everybody on like their engagements, saying happy birthday. I actually, like, if I have their address, I'm sending them a card with my logo on it, and usually like $1 scratch off something,
Right.
like whatever, and like a message. And I am trying to get better at connecting with people because, like I said, whether it's for business or for personal, it's like life is short, and I don't want to be the guy at the end of my life. I'm like, I only have like 3 friends.
Right.
And so I'm trying to get better about setting up coffee dates, setting up happy hours, having people over to my house, because it's like, what good is all of it if I don't have people around me? And that will eventually lead to, more deals and stuff too.
Yeah. But I will say this though, like surrounding yourself with the right people.
With the right people, of course.
Like I feel like going back to the social media thing, like I made a pretty vulnerable post the other day, which it wasn't really like meant to like be like that. And like it just got like a ton of people commented on it, and it's really not what I was expecting at all. I was just making a post to kind of just post.
Yep.
And I've been wanting to be more vulnerable and authentic and like true to myself, rather than just like, hey, look at this house I sold, this, that, and another. So but I mean, like I stopped drinking for 3 months at the beginning of the year, and then like I watched my friendships like decline because I realized that like the only thing that was keeping me around those people was going out drinking, doing stuff like that. And like in this industry, going back to being a new agent, like you can't be really like showing up like, I'm not saying like you can't go drinking and enjoy it yourself,
Yeah.
but like just surround yourself with like people that have a like mindset like you, like, and you need to have a pretty elite mindset to be in real estate, if I'm being honest. Like a lot of people, there are people ask me if like, oh, hey, should I get into real estate, this, that, and another, and like you can kind of tell if somebody has it or they don't have it. And like, but I saw this, which is funny because I thought about talking about this today, but Parker talks about how he works on himself every single day.
Yep.
And like that's something that I've been doing like this year specifically, and it's so true. Like, I mean, even just listening to podcasts, like self-development podcasts, like Ed Milet is by far the best podcast I listen to, and it's just so motivating, and it like keeps me in check like on a daily basis, whether it's, you know, something that he said or something that Rob Dyrdek said on the podcast. That podcast actually changed my life. If you haven't listened to it, I definitely recommend listening to the Ed Milet Rob Dyrdek podcast. But yeah, just focusing on self-improvement too is like a huge thing, because it is such a, you know, high driving business that like it's completely up to you. Like, you have no one else to fall back on. Like, if you're not doing the, you know, money making activities, then you're not gonna be successful in this industry.
Well, I think too, it's like, and that would be a great tip for new agents, I'd say, is don't lose your grip on reality when you're grinding so hard in the beginning.
Right.
Just because, like you said, I do think my business is doing much better now that I take care of myself.
100%.
Like when I'm time blocking my time, when I'm making sure I'm going to the gym, when I'm, you know, making sure I'm in a good headspace, my business runs that much better.
Mm-hmm.
And I think some people get so caught up in the beginnings, like I just have to grind and grind and grind and grind,
Right.
that they run themselves into the ground, they get burnout or whatever. But if you're not taking care of yourself, people can pick up on that.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're in rough shape, people can pick up on that.
Right.
It's like, you want to be able to exude confidence and just a good overall positive vibe when you're meeting with clients and other people. So I do think it is important to focus on that kind of stuff. And to go back to your point too about who you surround yourself with, when I had Corey Wright on the podcast, we talked about that too, is like your network.
Yeah.
And that's huge, because it's like, we said in that episode, it's like, if you want to like become a millionaire, hang out with other millionaires. And if you want to like stay where you are, hang around with your friends that just talk about being millionaires.
Right.
It's like, because if you don't take action at some point, that's all it's ever going to be.
Right. It's like that age-old saying that like you hear all these like self-development people say. They're like, show me your friends and then I'll show you your life in, you know, 5 to 10 years.
Yeah. So I think, and that's been another huge thing, and that's a big reason why I started this podcast in general, was just to kind of expand my network and bring other like-minded people like into my life, learn from them, and kind of connect with them, because it originally started, I just wanted to talk to like other investors. Mm-hmm. So I could kind of pick up on their network, add them to my network as well. But as this has kind of grown, I like connecting with other agents and just people in the real estate industry. And at some point I want to bring on, you know, first-time home buyers, so they can do their Q&As or talk about their experience buying,
right.
Bring on sellers, people that are not directly correlated, you know, their job isn't in real estate, but because I've had just a fun time connecting with people. Yeah. And there have been times in the beginning where it's like, people are like, well, are you spending too much time on this? Or is it really bringing you business? And I think it's bringing me great social media content. But like I said, it is nice to take a step back and say, real estate is my career, but I do have other passions too. And right. I love connecting with people. And that's been a huge part of this, is I love connecting with other people, like-minded people. But like I said, it is really something to help grow my network.
Yeah. Yeah. And like, even, you know, like I feel like, you know, I watch a lot of podcasts because I love watching podcasts. I like listening to them too, but I'm a visual person, like I was saying earlier. But even just watching podcasts and like, you know, you do a lot of like business oriented stuff too, but I feel like I could definitely see you like growing into this to like, you know, it doesn't strictly need to be real estate.
Yeah, man. Thanks. I really appreciate it. So before I let you out of here, any last tips for new agents or people considering becoming an agent?
Yeah, definitely. I would say if I could go back and start over, I would definitely have joined a team that gives me the services or points me in a direction that I need to succeed. I feel like that was probably the biggest deficit that I was at, was I just really didn't even know where to begin. So find somewhere that they're gonna, you know, point you in the right direction, help you get you know, those leads, or if they're providing team leads like the Pemberton Homes team, like just find somebody, you know, somebody that you can emulate your business behind, and make sure it's somebody that like you like it doesn't need to be just be somebody who does a lot of business. Like, yeah, that's great, but if you don't connect with them well, like it's not going to be beneficial to you. So like connecting with somebody who is going to directly emulate how you want to run your business. Like there's a ton of people in the industry who like I think that I'd probably connect with really well. I wish I would have, started with them, back in when I first joined, but yeah, really do your research on, who you're joining, what their services are, what kind of leads they're providing you, what kind of, are you getting a transaction coordinator? Are you getting a listing coordinator? What kind of benefit, mentorship are you really getting? So, yeah, just if I could go back and do it all over again, I'd be sure to check those things out.
Yeah, and I guess if I could leave any tips for new agents or people considering becoming a new agent is like, one, just do it. Just go get your license because it's fairly cheap up front, a couple $100 to, for all the classes and then to take the test.
Right.
Two would be, like you said, do your research about the brokerage you're joining, about the team you're joining, what trainings they offer, the services they offer, like you said, if there's any leads, what the splits are going to be, other ways to make income, stuff like that. Then
quality of leads too.
Quality of leads, yep. And don't just get it from the team lead. Talk to people on the team. And that kind of helped. I know Ian pretty well, so I was kind of picking his brain about how the team ran before I joined. 3, be ready to find a mentor and find someone in the industry that you want your career to be like and follow them. Don't recreate the wheel. Learn from them. And then also be ready to pick 2 or 3 lead generation strategies and stick to them. Stick to them. Do them consistently. With all lead gen, it is going to take a couple months for it to take off. It just is. So you need to be ready for that initial grind because this is a career where it's like time in the game. And I will say that there is very high stats of people that don't make it past year 1. I would say don't become a statistic. Like I said, if you have that mentor and you develop the good habits, you can make it in this business, but don't be discouraged if it doesn't work right away.
Yeah, it's all about just being consistent and like actually doing the work. Like going back to that Tom Ferry thing, like everything works. You just need to do it consistently. And yeah, it might, it might take you 2 to 3 months. It might take you 6 months. But like that guy who does his like postcards, he's now known as the postcard guy.
Yeah.
And he's going to make over $1 million this year just because he does something consistently and it works now.
Exactly. But yeah, other than that, anything else you want to leave us with?
No, I mean, if you're just new to the industry and you are not in a position where you want to be in your local, or if you're in the state of Minnesota and you just don't feel that you're getting what you need from where you are, feel free to hit up Blair or I, and we'd love to be able to point you in the right direction, like we were talking about earlier. Like, what'd you say? A steady tide raises all ships.
Yeah, rising tide lifts all ships.
Yeah, so if we can all be better in this industry, it's only going to be better for everyone else. And yeah, if you have any questions about any mentorship from, I'm sure either of us would be happy to help.
Yeah, and I actually think, and I don't want to act like I do a ton of mentorship, but when we do have new agents join the team and I am giving them my advice and kind of my 2 cents, it does help reestablish like my knowledge.
100%.
And then it reminds me like, hey, I am good at this.
Right.
Like, not that I ever really like doubt it, but I mean, it's like when I can really help someone, I feel good when I can help somebody with a real estate problem. And like I said, like, it helps re-solidify what I already know.
That happened to me for the first time not too long ago, and it actually felt like really good. They asked me what I did, how I did it, and like I just started talking about it, and it just was like you said, it reiterates that you do know what you're talking about, and that you're actually now you're in the game. So
yeah, exactly. But other than that, I mean, Jackson, this has been great. Thanks for coming on. Had a lot of fun.